invest in if I'm a beginner investor and don't know how to analyze financial statements of stocks, but still want to start investing so I don't waste my time? Easy, you want to invest in ETFs. Hi, I'm Bo. I made over $2,500 on all the ETFs I own, and in this video, I will show you some exchange-traded funds, how they work. I personally invest in them. I have them in 3 of my investment portfolios. And just a reminder, I manage over 32,000 in my own portfolios right now, and I'm not affiliated with any investment firm. So before I go in legal language, I want to say this video is not a financial advice. I'll be sharing what I know about ETFs and the ETFs I own. So first of all, what is an ETF, exchange traded fund, and how it is different from stocks, for instance? ETFs, or exchange-traded funds, are investment funds that trade on stock exchanges much like individual stocks. But a stock is a financial instrument that represents investors' part ownership in one company. An ETF is like a collection of assets. So it represents investors' part ownership of multiple companies. So when you buy an ETF, you're basically buying a collection of stocks, or you buy a collection of bonds or notes or bills, or commodities like gold or silver, or even currencies. So basically, when you buy ETFs, you can tap into different assets at once, right? That's my favorite about it. That brings me to why would you invest in ETFs? First of all, easy diversification of portfolio and minimizing risk, right? Keeping your eggs in different baskets is important. When you invest in an ETF, you buy a bunch of different assets. When one asset, say one company, goes bankrupt, you still have other successful companies. And if you invested just in one stock, then you could have potentially lost the money if that stock went down, right? So the ETF is lowering the risk for you. Also, ETFs are just easier and more affordable to buy than individual assets. Like if you want to buy S&P 500 stocks, you would need so much money to do that, right? But you can buy one ETF that costs like 500, 600, and you will have S&P 500 in your portfolio. Now, where do you find these different ETFs, and where can you see what's inside those ETFs? Personally, I like ETF.com. I go right to their screener and I choose from fixed income, equity or commodities. If you click on the name of the ETF, you will see the description, what company is the issuer, how much return has this ETF generated in the last few years. And pro tip, the most secure ETFs usually have the biggest AUM number, this one. It's assets under management, which is basically how big the fund is. And the bigger it is, the less likely to fail, at least not too fast, so you have time to rebalance. So by the way, I will make a video on how to analyze ETFs more fully, so subscribe and stay tuned. Now, when you know where to find ETFs, how do you buy ETFs? I buy ETFs just like I buy stocks through my standard brokerage and IRA account. I go to trading section, I look up the ETF by its ticker. This is the combination of letters, and I set a buy order. And that's how easy it is. Now, the most interesting part. What ETFs I think are good for long-term investment? I have about 14 different ETFs in my portfolios, and I have equity ETFs, fixed income, commodities, mixed. So for equity ETFs, I recommend this one, SPY. This is State Street S&P 500 Index ETF. Obviously, as you guessed it, this index replicates S&P 500 Index, which is even better because if a company is a part of S&P 500, that means it adheres to specific high business standards. And this is the company that is vetted. This specific ETF has earned me over $1,000. Next, VTI, which is Vanguard's US Total Stock Market Index. It offers exposure to entire US stock market, so beyond just S&P 500. And this earned me already more than $400. IBV, that is iShares S&P 500 ETF. This one has given me already more than almost 300. BOO is Vanguard's S&P 500. That has given me 376. And QQQ is an ETF that replicates NASDAQ 100 index. So most prominent US tech, right? And this one has earned me almost 300 as well. Now, all of these give, of course, great and strong exposure to US market, but I also have VEA, Vanguard Developed Markets ETF, which provides exposure to developed markets. So beyond the America, right? And I didn't make that much. It's not an expensive ETF, just $43, but I think it's a good ETF if you want to diversify your portfolio and not just focus on the US. And on the fixed income side, I like BSV ETF. I've held it for a year now, and I will be buying much more of it in 2025. It holds a mix of US government bonds, US corporate bonds, and even some international bonds. This ETF is great for just keeping your money in an asset that preserves the value of the money. You can't earn a lot on such ETF. This is just for preserving the value. And now, finally, my favorite commodity ETF is this gold one, IAU. It has returned $73 so far. But again, I don't look for high returns with this ETF. I just want to diversify my portfolio. And that's it, really, for this video. If you find it useful, please subscribe, comment, ask me questions, and do not put off investing. Start today. Bye-bye. See you next time.